Welcome, pool guys and gals, to the Let's Talk About Pools podcast, where your host, Lauren Broom, will take a splash into many topics in the pool industry to educate all aquatic professionals. Listen in, and you just might be surprised what you'll learn. So let's jump right in.
Welcome, everybody, today to the Let's Talk About Pools podcast. And on episode 55, I interviewed Niki Acosta and Justine Rae with Skimmer. And we spoke all about the pool deck community, their new online community for all pool professionals to join. Please join us on this episode to hear more about how this community can help you with education, helping each other, and just joining a great, friendly community for our pool professionals. I also want to thank Skimmer for being the podcast sponsor today and continuing education through the podcast for our pool professionals. Let's dive right in and join me on the pool deck.
Skimmer is an app that's built for pool service companies, and it really does everything they need to run their businesses. We have tens of thousands of techs using our app every day in the pools, in the field, and being able to just simply swipe left, swipe right, scroll up and down, take photos. Everything is so easy, it can be done with one hand. We know how hard our clients are working every day, and so we feel it's our responsibility to make sure we deliver a top-notch product and a support team that's capable of pleasing and satisfying our customers.
You can literally pick up the phone and someone will answer. And that sounds very obvious, but it's not when you talk to tech companies. And it makes you feel like you have a voice and they listen and they actually respond to it.
When I first started, we were just pen and paper, putting door tags on. We actually tried a bunch of different apps. Seemed to always be something missing. We ran across Skimmer, and this one's by far been the most efficient, the cleanest, the easiest to work with.
I've looked into creating in-house ways of tracking and doing the same thing. It can be very costly. Skimmer allows you to have a customized experience because they listen to your feedback. It's like having a custom platform without the cost and labor involved in managing that.
So I was very impressed with the affordability of Skimmer, the benefits that we get in terms of maximizing route efficiency and being able to keep a record of all the chemicals used and pictures of all the pools all in one spot and information we can access immediately. It's just incredible.
The technician will do all these little clicks and say what they did and what the chemicals they put in. They'll take a picture of the pool, and then Skimmer does this great report that gets emailed to the customer at the end, telling them what they did and how they did it, what chemicals they added, and customers absolutely love it.
For as long as I'm in business, I don't see myself ever doing business without using Skimmer. It's just the top of the line product to use within the market, and it just saves so much time while also being personalized to your company. Skimmer is a company that's going to keep your database and everything completely organized and in line for you.
One of our goals is to help our clients grow their companies, and we see every year, every day, we get feedback from our clients thanking us for allowing them to grow, allowing them to hire more folks, allowing them to make more money and put their kids through college, to have more time and more free time on the weekends. It's always a huge compliment when we hear our customers talk about how much they've been able to grow, how many folks they've been able to hire and employ thanks to the app.
Welcome, everybody, today to the Let's Talk About Pools podcast. And I've got two awesome people from Skimmer, who's one of my most awesome podcast sponsors here for the last 4 years. They've been my main podcast sponsor. I just want to say thank you to Skimmer for that, because this is education through a medium that our industry really enjoys, I think, because they can listen to the episodes while they're driving from pool to pool, and they learn a lot of different things for their profession. So thank you so much, first off, for being an awesome podcast, and you're my main podcast sponsor for the whole time this podcast has been on. So thank you so much. But I want to introduce my two awesome guests today. I have Niki Acosta and Justine Rae, and we're going to be talking about their new pool deck community, online community, and how awesome is that? I'm part of the community, and I love chatting with people in there. So let's let you guys introduce yourselves first and tell everybody that might be new to the podcast a little bit about you guys.
All right, I'll jump in. So my name is Justine Rae. I am the Director of Community here at Skimmer. I've been building communities in person, virtually for the past 20 plus years, and joined Skimmer in 2023 and immediately felt that this was an amazing industry that already has a community vibe and spirit that runs through it. And really excited to talk about the latest extension of our platform today, which is the pool deck community. So really excited to learn more and be a part of this. So thanks for having us on.
I'm happy to have you guys on. You guys have such an energy with this whole community, and it's already been fun. I've only been on it for maybe a couple of weeks since it opened, right? And it's been awesome so far.
Yeah, I'm Niki, Director of Marketing is my generic title, but you'll find me hosting webinars and on the road doing trade shows and on podcasts like this. So thanks for having us, Lauren.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for being on today as well. I'm honored to have you guys on today and talking about this awesome community, because this community is going to bring a lot of different facets to the industry for our professionals. So let's jump right in. And why did Skimmer decide to create or build this community for the pool industry professionals?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that one. I mean, Skimmer, since the very beginning, it's baked into our DNA, has been on a mission to really help pool pros build great businesses. And, they've continued to invest in the software, new feature releases, new functionality, and really invested in our customer support heroes, world-class team, and really making sure that people are proficient in knowing how to use the software. But Niki's out at trade shows, we're talking to customers every day, and we've really been listening and learning and hearing that they're also looking for help in other areas. Being an entrepreneur and you're trying to cover all aspects of running a pool service business. And so we really saw an opportunity here to extend our platform, and similar to what you're trying to accomplish here, Lauren, it's really, but how do we aggregate? How do we make this simple? How do we bring everything together in one centralized hub? So the idea was born to let's start an online community. And it's not just about, connecting with everyone who works at Skimmer and sharing that expertise. It's really about the power, and where the magic happens is bringing together our Skimmer users as well as other pool professionals. Just to be clear, this is for the entire industry. We're going to get into how the community works in a little bit, but it's all about knowledge sharing, networking, education, training, really about that speed to information, because we know how busy everyone is in their day-to-day. So that was really the thought behind it. And now we're just so excited to have it out in the world and having it grow.
That's so awesome. Do you have anything to add to what Justine had to say, Niki?
No, I think she summed it up pretty well.
She did. And I'm really
coffee kicked in. The coffee kicked in. I'm good.
I'm really excited to be part of the pool deck community as well. You asked me to join. I'm not a Skimmer user because I don't have a pool service route myself. I'm more in the education realm in the pool industry with our professionals. But I love talking and networking with people and really learning from other pool professionals as well. So I feel like I might be able to bring something to the community, but I know I'm going to learn a lot from the community myself as well, because nobody knows everything. Even if you're an educator, I'm always learning some new situation with a chemical or water chemistry or something that's going on. And you either read it in a magazine, a pool industry professional magazine, or now we have this great community that it's live right now. People are posting things that are happening right now. So it makes it like real. You don't have to wait 2 months for a magazine article to come out. Mm-hmm. It's people posting things in this community, what's going on, and other professionals can add to what their experiences are. So that's awesome. It's more than just using a route software now. It's about that community that we can all help each other at the same time. And I like doing that. And that's why I'm glad I'm a part of this community with you guys.
Yeah, it's all about getting more out of it than you put in and really creating that reciprocal vibe for sure.
I love that. It's like going to the trade shows, but see to get that networking vibe, you have to be like in person. this is now going to get everybody to network where they can do it from their phone or whatever, because you've made it easy with instructions to download it on their phone. Yep. And be able to be part of that community without having to travel, because not everybody can travel to the different trade shows and that kind of thing. So it's really going to be nice, and all the wonderful training that you guys have already been providing through Skimmer with all the online webinars that you guys have been doing. That's awesome. So why did you guys call it the pool deck?
Yeah, and I mean, it sort of connects to what you were just talking about. I mean, Niki is at a lot of trade shows. There is that, a fabulous part of being in a physical space, being together. And the beauty of, community and technology these days is how do we replicate that in a virtual world? So we wanted to create something that could connect to the concept of being in a physical space and almost that familiar ritual. At the end of the day, whether you're driving home from work, you can swing by your friend's backyard, pull up a chair, have a conversation with them, or you pull by your favorite local. There's already people there, but you can pull up a chair, your shoulders drop, you can unwind from your day, you can jump in on the conversation. And it's really about creating this sense of coming to a trusted space where you can share your wins, discuss your problems, and really feeling like there's an element of switching what is the pool deck from work to now the pool deck where you can, join your peers in conversations about all aspects of the business. So that's really the concept behind it, and getting something that was relatable to the industry.
I really thought it was a cool name. I see myself sitting in a lounge chair with my glass of wine or something in my hand and talking with other pool industry professionals doing the same thing next to me. And
I love it.
But now we're doing it through my cell phone. So I guess that's how I feel this summer with my kids being home for the summer, and I'll be taking them to the pool many times. Get ready for pictures, guys, if you're on social media with me, because this is the first full real day of summer down here in Florida. So I'll be going to the pool many times with them, or the beach or anything. But I feel like I'll be in that lounge chair at the pool, and while they're swimming, I'll be on my phone on the pool deck community chatting with some people with my glass of wine there. I thought that was really cool. It's very personable, the name that you guys came up with, and I think it brings people in. So excellent choice. So is this community, and I know you answered this earlier, but let's just make it clear. Is it just for Skimmer customers, or is it for anybody that wants to join the community?
Great question. This is for the pool service and repair industry. And we have been very intentional about bringing people in early through our beta process who are in the business of supporting pool pros. So in our community, we'll find people like yourself who are training CPO instructors, just all around industry experts, but you also find people like accounting experts and marketing experts and people who run businesses that directly support the pool service and repair industry. Like one of those folks is Sharon Birch. She has a consulting business around QuickBooks, and she also happens to own a pool service company with her husband. She is a wizard at setting up and answering questions around QuickBooks and offers training around that topic, and we're really lucky to have her in the community. We've got our friends from Pool Monopoly who are in the community who are really, really good at digital marketing for pool service professionals, helping pros decide where to spend their money, what kind of return to get, how to set up processes in order to be able to respond to leads that come in, how best to win those leads. So we've got people in there that are really there to support. And while we have those folks in there, Skimmer customers will get extra access too. So for example, Lauren, you're doing a workshop that's coming up and that will be open. It's open to a smaller group. It's not open to the public like our webinars would be. And we do that intentionally to keep it small and intimate and so people can ask questions, but we'll have workshops and other forums that are really good for Skimmer customers that give you a little bit of extra access. So for example, there's a group in there for buying and selling routes, right? We don't want to open that up just to anyone. We're keeping that one a little bit more confined and controlled to make sure that we can give people best practices on how to buy or sell routes and transfer those from a Skimmer account to a Skimmer account. So a lot of really great content in there, even if you aren't a Skimmer customer. And so we're encouraging folks to come into the community. One of the things that we've heard as far as feedback is that people feel really safe in this environment. You know, if you're in any of the pool groups, and I know you are, I'm at about probably 40 of them myself, but
Yep.
it's not always the most friendly place, right? Like
Yeah.
people will ask questions and get responses like, why are you even here? Why are you even a pool service pro? Like, you know,
They're
why would you
very-
even ask that
They're very
question?
abrasive sometimes in some of these groups. And
Yes,
I don't understand why we can't help each other. You're going to have newbies that are trying to get into it, and maybe they're leaving a different job that they are unhappy with, and they feel this is going to be something that's going to be good in their life, and they're making a big change, you know? And we should be supportive as much as we can as a community instead of trying to scare everybody. It's like the scare tactics happen.
Yeah, we should. And you know, if this is definitely a scenario where a rising tide lifts all boats. Like, you know, as an industry, we're in people's backyards. We want the industry to be professional. We don't want our fellow pool pros to fail when they're out there. So by bringing people together and giving them a safe place to share best practices and answer questions, you know, that's really the goal in my eyes and the value that we can provide is just creating that safe space where people can connect, you know, ask their questions and get responses from people who are professionals in the industry.
I love that you brought that up, Nikki, because I have seen that happen in some of the Facebook groups, and it feels like it's unsafe and people feel like they just have to quit the group and leave. And then I've gotten like private messages from people like about how they felt in certain groups. And so that's great that this is a safe place, safe space for them to be in where they can ask a question that might be a really simple question that you think that, oh, but maybe they're new and we want to support everybody and give them the information because they're asking the question. At least they're asking instead of just doing whatever and not caring and not asking at all. I'd rather people ask questions to learn. They're trying to learn. It's just people make it in some of these groups where they end up almost wanting to cry when they leave the group. You know, it becomes very stressful in some of those groups, you know?
And there are questions also that are asked in some of these forums that are geographically specific, that are great topics for a wider audience. For example, this weekend, you know, there was someone in a Texas group asking for a commercial pool contract, service contract. And I know that someone just posted one in the Arizona pool tech. So like being able to pull that content into the community and make it available to a wider audience is also the goal. It helps us be able to provide content to our pool pros to help them grow their businesses and be more professional. And so it's also a source of connection if we're running a webinar for people to come and say, you know, that's great you're doing this webinar. One of the questions I have going into this is X, and we can ask that question during the webinar and make that answer available to everyone. So it's a very much a two-way street, right? Like we want to be able to talk with people, not talk at people.
Right. I agree. It's being friendly, professional, all these things. We need to make sure that we keep our pool industry that way if we're going to be wanting to be viewed professionally and not attack each other. Everybody's got a specialty. Everybody's got their little special thing. And it gets really tough sometimes, all the competition and everybody trying to be like the better up somebody else kind of a thing, you know, and then just be really horrible to people about it. And that gets really tough for me sometimes when I see that happen in the different online groups and that kind of thing. So I'm glad that the pool deck community, everybody so far sees it as a safe place to be, professional and an educational experience, learning things. And you've got different topics. So it's not even just that it's just about pool chemicals. They can learn about all that business side of things too, which sometimes is the hard part, right? Because we didn't all go to become accountants or, you know, finance degrees or anything like that. And so you've got people that actually been running a business who is an expert by now after running their pool service business in QuickBooks. And QuickBooks can be an interesting animal right there, right? So you could have a whole training on all kinds of topics right there for our community to learn about how to manage QuickBooks, how to pull certain reports to see how your business is doing. I don't even know how to do a lot of that stuff. So that sounds actually really interesting, Niki.
Yeah, look, I'm a marketer by trade, but the world of digital marketing itself, like I'm really grateful that the pool monopoly guys are in there because I'm not in that every day, right? It's very much an art and a science trying to do digital advertising. So I feel you on that.
So what's the value of becoming, I think we talked about this already, but what's the value of becoming a member of the pool deck community?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really nice how it's sort of organically already come up in all of our conversation, but you know, there is a lot of things that you can do in the pool deck. And as I was saying, we've really tried to create something as an aggregator, one-stop hub. I like to think of it as a full poolside buffet, and we know everyone's busy, so you can just jump in, you can get whatever you're hungry for in that moment. The main thing is the search function, and the way that the community is organized, it is really structured. So it's not just, one giant feed. We've really tried to put things into very specific forums, so you know where to go post or look for information. But the overarching search, if you type it in, it'll show you everything that's available on the topic that you're looking for. If you can't find what you're looking for, just create a new post, ask your question, and wait for the replies to roll in. But we've got everything where we're trying to keep everyone on top of industry news, trends. You're contributing in terms of the training and the courses that you're running, so people know what there is available, not only in their region, but if they can even sign up for virtually. We obviously have an area, as Niki mentioned earlier, there are certain parts of the community that are specific to Skimmer users. So we have the Skimmer knowledge pool. We want to make sure that we're building, think of it as the ultimate Skimmerpedia, where we're building, mastery in terms of how to use the platform so they're getting more value out of their subscription. We have product updates. And then as we talked about, it's really about, making sure that we're showing up in all those areas that entrepreneurs need help in. So this whole forum around growing your business. So again, as Niki was talking about, all the professionals we brought in and all of those hardcore skills, marketing, HR, finance leadership, employee engagement. And then the one thing is the groups. We really tried to think of like the overarching community is where you're going to, connect on a national level. Those topics are agnostic across the country. And then the groups are where you can go into those more specific regional conversations and connect with people in your more local community as well. And we also have access to events. We're actually currently promoting, Niki is in a webinar with some of our amazing Skimmer users next Wednesday. So you can jump in there. Anyone has access to that. They can sign up and register. And then we're going to dive in, but I know, we also have your workshop coming in. So much to do. And as I said, I don't want it to seem overwhelming because you can come in and do the one thing you need. Or when you have more time, you can come and dig in and post questions and share your expertise.
I love two things that you like referred to in comparing, and I loved it, was first the smorgasbord or buffet. It's like the buffet for the pool industry professionals. I love that they if they're done with this, then they can go to and hop through the different categories to learn different things. And then you also compared it to like an encyclopedia. And I remember when I was a kid, you could go to the grocery store and they would have where you could buy each book of the encyclopedia set, and it was so much information. And that's how you compared it to the community online. So they're going to have their different encyclopedias that they can get different information from. So I really love those two things right there. So people,
I'll add to that too, Lauren. I've been using the community quite a bit, just searching for stuff, and the search functionality on that is actually pretty great. It's been really, really easy for me to type in a term and just get a list of relevant topics that show up in that search list. So I would encourage folks that are joining to definitely leverage that search if they're looking for something in particular.
That's very good. I didn't even know about the search function. Now I'm going to have to go check that part of it out now, Niki. So how do members get to know each other in the community, in the pool deck community?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the main thing. It really is about trying to create a bit more of a personal space where people start to understand who other members are. So I encourage everyone who joins, fill in your profile, because what happens is if you hover over someone's profile, you can see who they are. If you like their content, so for instance, all of your content, people can follow you, Lauren. So every time that you post something, they'll get notified, so you can build up your own followership. You can also message other members. The other thing is the groups. So again, the groups are for more connecting with people more locally in terms of your region. So I encourage everyone to join those. As Niki was talking about, we have a lot of events. We have the more public webinars where anyone can join. And then these workshops and the socials we're going to be running, they're smaller. So that's more about having your camera on, coming in, getting to know other Skimmer users across the country, and really beginning to build those more face-to-face relationships. And then the other area is the Life on the Road forum, which I know you've been really active in and posting, and it's getting to know each other a little bit outside of the business, right? Because I think that's the main thing. You can talk business, but it's nice to know the little bit of the human side. So it's been really lovely as people have been posting stories about how they got into the industry and, what's going on in their world. And really just, again, it goes back to creating that trusted space of users within there. So a few ways in which, even though it's online, to start to build more personal relationships over time.
And I like that you guys have those threads that are more personable, because I think the personability with any business or any person with a business is very important, because people want to know that you're a regular person like they are.
Yeah. Yes.
Going through the world, you've got either a spouse or you got kids or you're working, or what's going on in your life. I think that's always important, that people realize that, yeah, they know you as like Lauren Broom, the CPO instructor, but I also got 3 kids over here and dealing with the same things every day that everybody else is dealing with, having the family and different, school functions or different things like that. So I think that's important, that people realize that everybody is a person and has different things going on. And that's why, going back to what Niki said about us being, this community is built to where it's very professional, versus like some of the other groups. Don't not join the pool deck community because you feel that it's going to be like some of those Facebook groups that you're in or anything like that. Because I've been in the pool deck community now for about a month, and I have not seen anything where anybody's been attacking anybody or anything else like that. So I want people that are listening to try it out and keep in mind that it's not like these other communities that maybe you have been in, that you said you're done with communities online and that kind of thing. Because I think that the pool deck community is a lot more of an educational and supportive community that we have here for everybody. So how does the community work with your support team at Skimmer?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. So our support team is always available to all of our customers, but this kind of adds like an extra layer of support. So our support team is in there. They can link people to appropriate tutorials or answer their questions or help them escalate an issue if they need extra support. But there's also the aspect of getting help with things that are kind of outside of the scope of what our support team traditionally does. So if somebody is trying to figure out how to make Skimmer work to do XYZ, like a good example is like, how do I keep my customer's card on file and be able to automatically bill them at the end of the month? How do I leverage Skimmer to be able to bill for chemicals for last month, but for service in advance of the current month? So things like that, like there are different perspectives on how to do this, right? There's sort of how we instruct people to do it, but then people kind of create their own workflows and their own ways of doing things. And so it's that combination of customer experience and how they run their business and the workflow they want to create, along with our support team, providing, best practices and videos and content and on how to do those things. It's kind of those two things combined kind of creates, I think, a better support experience than just getting a single answer. Because sometimes people come to us and we don't have a great answer for things, like, hey, how do I, be able to get an alert the office message in the app? How do I turn that into, work performed? Well, great. Eric from Chlorine King just made a video on how to do that. That's not something you're going to find in our support documentation, but it's super easy and doable, through a process, right? So I think, our support team is always going to be there and they're amazing, but it's the combination of our support staff and seasoned Skimmer users, some of whom have been using Skimmer since we were founded for years, right? To be able to provide that support and that help along the way.
They become all experts.
Yeah, and leverage experts that are already out there, right?
Right. I always say, why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, and
Well,
rumor
I've
has it
already
that
been
at some point we'll have a help center in there, like an official help center
Yes.
coming into the
Yes.
community. Justine, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we're
Go
gonna
ahead.
be, I mean, well, the beauty of the community as well is we're gonna continue to launch new groups, new parts of the community. Like Niki was mentioning, we're gonna be rolling in our Skimmer Help Center. So again, that search functionality is gonna become even more powerful because we're gonna really aggregate it all within the one platform. And so for members that are already in there, we'll definitely announce when that goes live. But it's going to be building, and that's the beauty of it. It's not something that stays still. It's dynamic. It's going to continue to grow. We're also always open to feedback and learning. We've got some amazing feedback from some of our early users that we've already taken into account in terms of, the initial impression as you come in and how you start to familiarize with the community. So we love that two-way dialogue that we're having with our members out of the gate.
That's awesome. So the feedback you've had so far, has it been all positive? Some things to learn from, different things like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the part I always love. Like, I'm someone who can always, listen and you've been looking at something through your own lens and your own bubble for so long. So it was really interesting to hear from people who are, in the industry every day, fresh eyes coming in. And they were just sort of talking about even just some hierarchy of how things were showing on the page and how they wanted to familiarize them and starting to understand how the community worked. So at the top, which I think we're going to show a demo at the end, but we just put, some getting started information at the very top. It was buried a little bit further. So little nuances like that. And overall, I think, sort of what we've talked about today, I think there's just a general appreciation for, Skimmer launching this in the sense of the spirit and how we're doing it. So I think that's also just been a really nice early feedback that we've received from some of our early members.
So I know Niki mentioned earlier Skimmer partnering with different industry experts and that kind of thing.
Yes.
So I know she mentioned I was, and then you had mentioned the person that had the experience with the quick, but just give us some
Sharon Birch.
experts you guys have in the community.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to, again, I think about it as a mission in terms of what Skimmer is trying to do in the industry, which is like, how do you help people have, an overall successful business, and recognizing that software is just a part of it. And it really is, if we can extend and bring all this other professional acumen and the sharing in those areas, like a lot of people, we all struggle with the same topics. How are you keeping your employees engaged? How are you, going into digital marketing and all these different parts where, to your earlier comment, it's not about reinventing the wheel. People either have deep expertise, or we also have other members who've tried and can share their experiences. So hopefully you avoid the same pitfalls that maybe they experienced. So we're going to, again, keep bringing in some new members. I know you introduced me to someone else, Michelle Cavanaugh. She's now going to come in. She's going to be doing some stuff around strategic business planning. And I think that's the key thing, is it's really about, owning a business can be overwhelming. And sometimes you're so in the business, and sometimes you need to be able to get out and think a little bit longer term. So it's really about creating those touch points where you can ask these industry experts questions, and again, have a two-way conversation where other members can jump in and either learn, or they can also build on the thread and ask more questions. And it's sort of like we were talking earlier about creating this encyclopedia of knowledge where, you use the search function, you find what you want, and hopefully it just gets you to that end goal a little bit faster.
And I know I've had conversations in the past about even me owning a business. It's always good to have like a mentor, somebody that you can talk to that maybe has already been there, done that, and you get information before you make mistakes. And what I'm seeing in this community, and this just came to me from you talking about the community, Justine, is that you're going to have many different types of mentors in the pool deck community, that our pool professionals can come in and ask questions or do the search function. Maybe it was asked 5 months ago by somebody else.
Exactly.
They can use that search function and get the answer to the question that they're looking for specifically on something. So I think that it's got built-in mentors of different areas. You're going to have the business mentors and the QuickBooks mentors and the people that are good at online marketing and all the social media platforms. And then you got the education people, maybe like me, that are going to offer different things. And even when you get into education, everybody's got their own little, we might all be CPO instructors, but then we all go in our own little specialties that we have with education. Like Rudy is like the best one when it comes to algae and knowing algae and his certification course that he has. I went in the tangent of workplace health and safety with OSHA training for the pool industry. And if you look at even in education, that's happened. So you're going to have the different mentors, which is really cool, with built into the community, that people are going to be able to ask questions live or go back and search and find those questions were already answered. So
well, maybe that's a perfect segue. I was going to ask you, maybe you can talk a little bit, because you're our inaugural workshop in the community. So maybe you could talk a little bit about the two-parter that's coming up. It's next Thursday, June 6th, right? And then followed by June 13th.
Thursday, June 6th is part 1. And then the following Thursday, June 13th is part 2. It's all going to cover outdoor worker safety. We thought, since we were heading into the summer and the really hot months, and we get all of our critters and bugs, insects, and all the animals and reptiles and spiders and everything, just to do a training where we're making people aware of what their hazards are out there. We have unique hazards being outdoor workers, but we also handle hazardous chemicals and that kind of thing. So we figured for outdoor worker safety, it's getting hot in a lot of our states. So we're going to talk about heat-related illnesses. What are the signs? What can you do to limit what happens to you? We're going to talk about lightning safety, because we got a lot of states where there's lightning coming in and what to do. It sounds common sense, but there's a lot, just got to make everybody think about these different things. We're going to talk about the critters. We're going to talk about dogs, people's backyard dogs. They're all fall under critters for me. Yeah, the standard gator in Florida in the pool, right? That's what everybody thinks of all the time. And then we're going to talk about drowning safety, driver safety, because that's all part of outdoor worker safety. So there's a lot of different topics between part 1 and part 2 that we're going to talk about. I threw in also, we're going to talk about the pressurized filters and their safety, because we did have a pool professional last summer die from a cartridge filter that basically they probably did not relieve all the air with their air relief valve. And so then they attempted to take the top off and it blew into their face, and they were, on machines, but then taken off machines because they were brain dead from the injury to their skull from the top of the cartridge filter popping into their head. It's under extreme pressure. So we're going to talk about stuff like that as well, because that did happen to a pool professional last summer. They did pass away, and there's instances of other pool professionals that have died from pressurized filters or pressurized DE vacuum separation tanks. So we'll talk about anything that's pressurized like that and what's the best scenario, the history of it. It's been a known problem for a long time. But we're going to be talking about that in this two-parter webinar. And I'm very honored to be the inaugural one with the pool deck community here. Thank you to Niki and Justine for inviting me to talk about it. It is something I talk about in my OSHA 10 class. So we're taking one small part of that class and we're bringing it to the pool deck community. And thought, we're starting off the summer, let's get everybody to think about workplace health and safety as employers and their responsibilities, but also the responsibilities that employees need to take as well to keep themselves safe, but not put all this liability on their employer as well. So it's both employer and employee that have to know what are their responsibilities on the different workplace health and safety topics.
Definitely something that we, really think is important investing in, and we're thrilled to be offering it. So there's still some spaces available if anyone's listening and they want to sign up.
Please sign up. We're not going to bite. It's not like that. OSHA is going to be showing up to your place. You know, it's nothing like that. It's
Yeah.
just a training to teach
Yes.
people. We don't, it's not here to scare anybody. It's not a scary thing. It's not, it's trying to talk on something that we should be talking about more, workplace health and safety. And I think that's an important, and there's many other topics that we could talk about because
Yes, which we will. We've got time. We're gonna have you back again, believe me.
I would look to any time. And anybody ever has any questions in the pool deck community that join or have already joined the community, but please join the community. If you're listening to this podcast episode, I love the community in there. And I feel like, even though it's online, I feel like I'm again sitting in the chair on the deck of a pool and I have my margarita or my glass of wine in my hand. And I'm here to answer questions, but also to learn from all of you as well.
And on that note, Justine, you want to tell folks how to join the pool deck?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're going to go to the pooldeck.getskimmer.com. In the actually, I'm going to show it a little bit. In the upper right hand corner, there's a register button. So just join in there. And then if you're a Skimmer customer, you'll get authenticated. We'll unlock some additional forums for you. And as Niki was saying earlier, if you're not a Skimmer customer, please still join. There's a lot of value, whether it's webinars, many of the forums we've talked about where you can jump in, and really it's all about bringing together the broader industry. So
awesome. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today, and just so that listeners, if they're not aware of this community, they are now, and please join the pool deck community and join all of us in educating all of our pool professionals out there.
For those who are watching the video, did you want to show our demo just real quickly, the community?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's go ahead and
all right,
that.
I'm going to share my screen here quickly. Oh, let me just move us over here. Okay. So this is a quick tour. I really want to show the search functionality. So as you know, Niki was mentioned, this is all about speed to knowledge. So let's say we're looking something up on chlorine chemicals. It'll show you what your options are. You can go into that content, or you can just create a question here. So that's really a starting point in terms of where I would go. As you were mentioning, Lauren, I think it's really important. Everyone here, there's a quick guide on how to create a mobile app shortcut so you can access the community. It's a mobile responsive site, so really easy to use. We have our featured posts. So here, if you haven't signed up for Niki's webinar that's happening next week, sign up here. Here's our sign up. Again, we're always going to bring to the forefront, you know, the things that we think should be on your radar. This is part one of Lauren's workshop. And then we have other topics here. We were talking earlier about Sharon Birch. So again, this is where they're all two-way conversations. You can open up any of these posts and join or like read what's already been talked about. This is a thread here. It's going to show you what's been happening most recently in the community. If you specifically want to get to a certain forum, if you click, you'll see there's a section called Community Forums, and then you get into basically all of these different types of areas where you can post content in terms of life on the road. You can search our news, trends, and training, the Skimmer knowledge pool, as well as the ideas for how to grow your business. And the other part I'll just sort of say over here is we have our leaderboard as well. And this always makes me happy. It resets every Sunday night, and I get excited when I come in on a Monday and I see it already starting to light up like a Christmas tree, where you're starting to see people posting and getting active. And it's really intuitive. You know, this is where our events are. We have our groups section here where I'll just quickly show you here. So if you jump in here, you'll see all the different parts across the country where we have different groups where you can join and have those conversations. And then we finally just quickly show you here, we have an area where you can stay on top of our Skimmer updates. So you can subscribe to, so then you'll also get an email notification anytime there's a new post. So yeah, it's really intuitive. And I think I'll just show one more feature if we have another quick second. I'm just going to quickly show you how you can like hover on, you know, someone's profile here. So like, let's look at Sharon here. So if we just hover over here, you know, we can see who she is. If I click on here, what happens is it brings up your profile. So you have a little bit of a sense of who people are, what their activity is in the community. And then, as I said, you can also follow them as well, so that anytime they post something that you'll be notified. So A lot of great things to explore. I encourage people to jump in here. And again, if it's one thing you're looking for, like we talked about earlier, the poolside buffet, stop in, look for that one answer. Or if you have more time, jump in here. This is really a reciprocal space. It's about co-creation, two-way conversation. So I really encourage people to take some time when they have a few moments, and hopefully it'll be a bright spot in their day when they do.
I actually just learned something when you showed that. I didn't realize there was different regional groups within the group. I'm going to have to check that out.
And if there isn't a region and someone wants to request one, there's instructions at the top to email community@skimmer.com. So we already had a request, for example, to have a Pacific Northwest group.
Yes.
And different groups are going to have, different care abouts. We know that folks in Colorado, they service a lot of spas. So there's going to be a lot more content related to spas and those types of groups. People who do pool openings in the Northeast or have vinyl liners. Depending on where you are in the country, those are geared to give you more specific and regional information that is relevant to you.
Even the chemicals that are used in different regions are different, and like what the availability and that kind of thing. So that's all you can talk about, all those differences and different categories in those different groups. Awesome. Well, thank you for showing us the community as well. Hopefully everybody wants to go check it out. Please go check out the Pool Deck community from Skimmer, please, guys.
Yes, the pooldeck.getskimmer.com is where you can find us. And I hope everyone's curiosity is piqued and they'll come in and do a little bit of exploration and use sort of Lauren's analogy. They're going to pull up their chair, whether it's a margarita or a glass of wine, but they're going to join the conversation and be a part of this space as we grow a really vibrant community that is going to hopefully give you more value than you put in.
I hope everybody has a wonderful summer, and during the summer that you decide to come into the Pool Deck community with Skimmer and join the conversations, join your regional groups, and just learn something, or you might teach somebody else something. So hopefully we all have a great summer and get started here and have some great webinars coming up this summer through the community. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, Justine and Niki.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for diving in today with the Let's Talk About Pools podcast. Be sure to follow us on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page. And feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts so more aquatic professionals like you can learn about the show. We appreciate it, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Let's Talk About Pools podcast.